Custom Group Summon is back, and this one's kind of interesting just because the units available is more than you would usually expect. They've changed the time period for available limited units, where instead of needing a rerun, which is the old condition, up to June 2025, this is like only like a 7-month gap, which is a lot less than I expected. So that's nice, I guess. It's only really like 1 or 2 more units. But for general rules, as usual, you have a month to do your first summon. After your first summon, the banner will last for 2 weeks. So you don't really have to rush to do it any time within this month. And also, if you're struggling to get bookmarks, do it on the 18th or something, and you have a free 2 extra weeks to save bookmarks. Though also, we are probably getting another limited for Valentine's, so make sure you have enough for that. My guess is that it's Biblis, or the limited, the alt limited Biblis, because she's already limited. Anyways, each sub you do gives you a coin. The coins you can spend in the shop. Notably, you can buy artifacts here for 100 per artifact, though you can only buy them once. And also, of course, you can buy the heroes for 120. The coins do not carry over to the next shop, and the shop itself will remain open for 7 days after the actual banner ends. So you have a little bit of extra time to spend your coins. Also, one thing is that if you don't really plan on summoning, I would still pick out your artifacts and just do 1 summon and they'll show up in the powder shop. You can buy 3 artifacts and not like spend like 5 bookmarks. Pretty good value just to get, it's basically like bottling your limited artifacts. That is it for the general rules. Let's take a look at the tier lists. So first up, the hero one. Just anything released after the summer isn't available. So like Aram, Hwa-Young, Setsuka, Saria, Flag Sigret, Hakati, and Aki. First up is the S tier. These are just generally the best units. I think you probably want to have these on your account. First up is Renok. Renok is still really, really good. It's just, she's so fast, and she's got her Pilfer, making her, like, removing your stats, or removing the enemy stats, getting more stats on her. Plus her S3 damage is still really annoying to deal with, especially on Pursuit set. Giving her more damage on her S3, it increases her kill ranges a little bit more, and it's pretty annoying to deal with. The only downside is that she has to be fast. Getting fast Pursuit gear is going to be very RNG, given how new of a set it is, and even without Pursuit, you need to be fast on her. So that is one thing to keep in mind when using her. Next up is Ahmed. Ahmed is, again, another fast unit, though she has a lot more usage in Arena and Guild War than somebody like Renok. Ahmed just gives so much damage. Her greater attack buff on S3, plus the crit damage buff and CR push from her artifact are really, really nice. She also is still a great cleave opener in RTA as well, so she works really well in like all of the modes pretty much. I think especially in Arena with the it's just so many defenses you can just rip through with Ahmed right now. Next up is Young Senya. Young Senya's the classic Harsetti counter unit. We have a romp, but there's still a lot of situations where Young Senya gets used, I think. I think, like, in Guild War, since her condition is only just a green unit in the front, in some of these Lady of the Scales comps, you can just do Young Senya plus Hakati in the front, and that lets you, it's just, yeah, like, it works fine. And if you're using Frieren, she doesn't have to be in the front. You can put somebody else in the front and give them the little HP buff that she, or the heart icon buff that she gives to them instead, because Frieren has the resource increase on her passive. And she's, besides mostly Guild War, I don't think you use her in Arena that much right now. She is still used to counterpick Harsetti sometimes in RTA as well. Next up is Afdun Soak Flan. Still a solid DPS, like there's a lot more answers to her now, but you'll find some situations where you find yourself wanting to use her, especially if you're cleaving, just because of her passive. And then here and there in Guild War, she has pretty good usage as well. I think just a good, like, solid DPS to have. Next up is 8th here. These units are also, like, pretty much really good. Then I left on here because I was going to have non-limiteds on here before, and then I decided to take them all off. I forgot to take off Bene. First up is Festavita. Festavita, she's pretty much the same unit as she's always been. She's so insanely strong. Like if her passive procs, it's just a matter of getting it to proc. So as long as you pick her in any condition where her passive will go off, she's going to be great. This can be just anytime they pick like AoE units or some sort of stripper like Wish the Mirror Tenebria and RTA. People will pick her to anti-cleave on like a really fast build or just cleave for the AoE Death Break plus silence. And for Guild War, you can also guild her or gear her with a ton of HP just purely for her fixed damage proc. She's got a lot of things that she can do, and she's a pretty flexible unit overall, I'd say. We also have Diane, who is seeing a lot more usage recently. Diane, quite a while ago, honestly, at this point, got buffed, where she gives Penres now as well. So you, in some situations where you can't use Empyrean Elnav for whatever reason, you can use Diane. And as Soul Weaver, she does have access to CR push artifacts, letting her potentially cut either the opener or the follow-up unit, depending on how, like, or whatever the setup is. You need Soul Constellation for that, though, which you could also pick up on this banner, technically. And I think there's still some people running defenses that are pretty susceptible to Diane in Guild War, where you can just Diane plus a Knight plus a DPS and just go, and it's generally just going to be fine. Landy, really good in RTA right now. The only problem is you kind of need her personal artifact. Plus 30, or at the very least, like, a very high limit break, though if it's not plus 30, you're probably going to pull your hair out at some point. She has so much, like, damage every time her S3 with full fighting spirit plus the greater attack buff proc, which can be RNG. The stealth and the barrier give her a lot of protection as well. She's just a really strong DPS right now for RTA in specific situations. So outside of RTA, she really doesn't have any sort of use. And then there is Frida, who right now is honestly not that useful. I think that she is a very nice unit for certain situations in Arena and Guild War, though I feel like a lot of the, especially Arena cleaves, have leaned away from using her, and just the way that cleaves are working right now in RTA, I think you don't really need her either. Her passive is very, like, unique, though, and you might see her start popping up more if they have more anti-Soulburn stuff, or just units that benefit a lot from her passive. I think she's still nice to pick up, though, and there's definitely some situations where you want to use her in the AI PvP settings. And then Bene is here, I guess. Everybody knows what Bene does. So next up is B tier. These are units that are, like, I guess, usable in some capacity. Maybe everything below this A tier, honestly, kind of blends together, and I probably wouldn't bother summoning for any of these. First up, though, is Summer Charlotte, just because Summer Charlotte could land anywhere from, like, I don't think she'll be any higher than B. It's B or lower. So she kind of is in this tier, but she's getting an exclusive equipment that notably gives her attack buff now. So maybe she'll be useful. I mean, her role is kind of just the same as Afternoon Soak Flan, but, like, the way you would pick her is pretty similar, just because of the way she procs. It's just like a dual attack thing, but she pushes the team instead of herself. So we'll see if she's any good. She's just going to be a cleave unit, though. Midnight Gaul Lilius, her buffs didn't really do that much for her because she still kind of struggles in the same situations, though there are certain, like, cases in Guild War where you can run her, like, even, like, Lilius plus Young Senya, and very, very rarely are you going to bother using her in RTA. She does have some, like, very niche PvE usage as well, though something, like, it's not one of the things where you can't get it done without her. Summertime Assyria, same bomb unit as always, mostly just a for fun unit. Leith, very niche Guild War usage, just because of her passive, or her, like, her Oben proc can be, like, solid into a couple comps. We also have Ocean Breeze Luluka, another, like, really, really niche unit. If you, like, she honestly might be too high. but you could like 1 million user in RTA or something. I'm not gonna go over like any of these units down here that in much detail, just because none of them are like really that good. Blooming Litica, same unit as always. You just kind of use her with Zeo sometimes. Tori DPS, but she's just too RNG. Like she. This is technically the Tori banner. The custom group summon is technically the Tori banner, given that her event is happening, but she's just too unreliable. Laya has better cleansers than her, and there's no real reason to use her as DPS with the DPS options that we have these days, even with like her specific use case. Holiday Euphine, her PvE usage is pretty much negligible, honestly. You don't need her for Hooray at all, given that we only have to do Perdition once. You could clear Perdition with like free-to-play units, so she doesn't really matter for PvE. And then for PvP, she was always kind of just like a niche anti-cleave, and I don't think her like usage right now is that needed against the current cleaves. Fairy Tale Tenebria, uh, honestly, I don't even know what this unit does right now. I just know she's not good. Cerise, I have her in C tier because C tier is the units that like to pretend are at least usable. And Fairy Tale Tenebria, technically that one Hall of Trials rotation to the Hall of Trials looks pretty dead. And then Cerise, technically light expedition, but not really something you would summon explicitly for that purpose. The stuff in F tier is just like, Seaside Bologna, her whole thing is that you need a plus 30 artifact to use her, and then you have to plus 30 a limited artifact to get a mediocre unit. She hasn't been really worth it for years, besides that, like, 1 month where after they buffed her and people convinced themselves she was good and that she very quickly wasn't again. Biblis, her best usage is probably going to be as an imprint for the upcoming limited, though at that point, just save your bookmarks and summon that limited directly because her artifact is garbage, and there's a chance that the Perfumer Biblis actually has a good artifact, and Luna is still just very, very bad. For the artifacts not available, I only put the limited ones here, but notably Queen's Whistle and Summer Photogenic and Tome of Life's End, especially Summer Photogenic not being available is a little bit sad. The artifacts we can actually go through pretty quickly. So these artifacts are literally just the same as the heroes, like it's tied to the hero directly, and it's their personal artifact, and it more or less only really works on them. Renox artifact gives her stealth after she ends a turn while debuffed, and also CR pushes, so just works really nicely with her self stun. This gives you a crit damage buff and also CR push for the highest attack ally after you use 2 non-attack skills, Amid S2 into S3, though you do need plus 30 for consistency. Proof of Hardship. Senya's artifact actually has more usage than just Senya, though it's going to be really niche usage out of her. The CR push on the front unit after you take a turn can work on quite a few units, but mostly just going to be like really niche use cases besides her. I forgot the name of this artifact, but it's Afternoon Soak Blonde, and it's really only used on her. You can pretend that it gets used on SSB or something. Sweet Miracle, really, really nice effect still. Like, the cleanse is very useful, and it's really flexible. You can put on a lot of warriors. Most notably, like Urban Shadow Shoe, probably. And then APOC can also use this, so I don't think APOC is that good. It also needs plus 30 for consistency. Soul Constellation, Soulvir Artifact, 3 F-Res, plus I think CR Push artifacts in general are just very, very nice, especially ones that proc out of turn. I mentioned using this for Diane potentially. There's a lot of like Soul Weavers that can make use of this artifact. Fairy Tale of a Nightmare, offense-oriented artifact for certain mages, like Parsetti or Solitaria, that sort of thing. Just any mage with a extra attack that is not single target. Unfading Memories, this actually might be, I don't know exactly like where in A tier this lands, but this artifact after its buff is pretty good. It actually gives a lot of sustain, especially on units that can cycle turns pretty quickly. I think for Guild War, this is really, really nice too. Like it's nice because compared to something like Guardian Ice Crystals, or I forgot its fake Cure All Magic Wand, that also heals a lot, but it procs like, it's not in your control when it procs. And it also won't be proccing constantly in certain situations, where something like Unfading Memories always goes off and it can keep you topped up. And then Guiding Light is still used on a couple of rangers like Veronica, Hellion Lua. It does the same thing it always does: stealth to the unit at the start of battle, and then also every 2 turns RNG chance. It's just necessary to protect from single target attacks. When we have Wall of Order, this is only for Landy, really. Gives you a chance to get greater attack buff when you... Yeah, just greater attack buff. It's very useful for her. And then B tier, these usage, we're pretty much just getting more into like niche territory. I would say B tier artifacts are still like pretty good though, depending on what you need it for. This is a crown alternative. It gives you free effectiveness and also RNG debuffs, but notably stun, and I forgot the other ones. I think it's like decreased speed, venom, and something else. So it's less stun chance overall than crown because it's a higher debuff chance, like, but there's 4 debuffs. So stun specifically is lower. If you really just want stun, then you're just going crown, but the free effectiveness on this could be nice potentially. I think given that you have a lot of alternatives, like, well, just using crown or Fairy Tale of a Nightmare, because the units that use this artifact really also use Fairy Tale. So it's not like that important right now, but if you want it, then feel free to pick it up. This is specifically for HP scalers that have extra attacks. And then this is for FRES Thieves. Really, really niche. I think I use this on like Kron or MLK Ron for Guild War Arena for his build there, but I think with like Christie buffs, you honestly don't even need it anymore. But could be useful if you want to build an FRES Thief. And then this is for Summerus Area and Pirate Captain Flan, though neither of them are necessarily units that you really need to be investing into. But this is the Ranger Bomb artifact for any non-crit units. And then down here, this is just like, this is, who is it? Frida's artifact, but Bird's Eye View is better like 99.99% of the time. Blooming Lydica's artifact, this goes on her if you want to use her. Feat of Criticism just gives you a barrier at the start of combat and also increases your attack a bit. Really, really niche usage. These 2 artifacts are probably too high. Draco Plate, Warrior Bruiser artifact. They buffed it recently. I don't remember its effect anymore. I think it's just like damage reduction and crit damage increase still, but it just doesn't do enough compared to other warrior artifacts. Rengar Special Drink. Problem is that it really only works on Seaside Bologna or very, very niche usage otherwise, and you don't want to be building Seaside Bologna. Summoner Gardening Shears, I don't remember what this does, but I remember it needs plus 34 consistency, and it's bad. This is worse Draco Plate, but also works on knights, or only works on knights. I think it actually might be better Draco Plate, but only works on knights. Either way, it's not good. And then this is Meme Warrior Stun Artifact. So that is it for the tier list. Really, like, not that much has changed from the last one. I feel like a couple of buffs here and there, and the addition of Redock is the main thing. Again, for the artifacts especially, like, I'm probably just going to slap some artifacts on and then power them, but good luck with your summons.